Okay, today we'll good afternoon. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today we'll discuss the management by objective. That is it is also called as MBO. That is a management by objectives. Management by objectives. what do you mean by management by objectives? The management by objectives means the management is having some objectives, or it is a strategic management model that aims to improve the organizational performance by clearly defining objectives that are agreed to by both the management and employees. So there is the objectives as far as the management is concerned for both employees as well as management. Suppose being student, you have the goals and some objectives, and you need to fulfill that objectives, and therefore we have to plan the strategic management model so as to that aims to improve the organizational performance. As far as the student is concerned, we have to improve your performance in the exam, in test exams, in the university exams, and therefore by clearly defining the objectives that are agreed to both you as well as department. So this is as far as the student. If you analogy is made to the students as well as some organizations. So therefore you being as a student, you should also have some objectives and the goals, and therefore that in order to fulfill that goals we have to uh, set the strategic management model that aims to improve your performance in the test exam, in the university exams, and therefore that is your objectives, and that is also the objectives of the department or the any organization, educational institute, because you should pass with the first class with distinction. Whatever your knowledge should be improved, and that is also beneficial for the institute also. You should also stood for the campus interview, means we have to appear for the campus interview, and when you place for any company, then that will be also one of the objectives of being the students, and therefore we have to always study. Whatever you study, you should always compare with you, so that it will be also help you to remember all these things what we are learning from the books. Okay, so this is the management objectives. Means for any organization, their aim is always to improve their performance. Either it is a manufacturing organization, it may be the service organization. Their aim is always to improve the performance by clearly defining their objectives that are agreed to both, that is management and employees. So MBO, that is management by objectives, you should create 1 to 3 goals that you can achieve in the long term. So the goals may be the short term, middle term, or the long terms. So you should always have 1 to 3 goals that you can achieve in the long term. And you being the student, you should always set your goals, because setting goal is very important. There is the difference between the two person who has set the goals in his life and who did not set the goals in his life. At the end of the life, the person who has set the goals, he will achieve more in his life, and probably he will also live long, the person who has set the goals in his life, than the person who did not set the goals in his life. So you should always create 1 or 3 goals that you can achieve in the long term, because when you set the goals, your subconscious mind will help you to the conscious mind, and in order to achieve that goals, your subconscious mind will also help you, and you will in that direction you will do the hard work, you will do the studies, and accordingly we will achieve the goals in your life. So for example, if you work in customer service, your goals should be increase customer satisfaction by 13%. Oh, so this is the examples they are given that there is a what should be the goal. If you are working in the service organization, then if you work in customer service, your goal should be to increase the customer satisfaction by 30% and reduce the customer call times by 2 times. Means when you give the proper service to the customer, obviously they will not call you return back, because we have already provided a good service to them, and therefore they do not have any problems as far as the service is concerned, and therefore they will not call you. Therefore the customer reduce call times by 2 times. So in this way we can also set the, this is one example how we can set the goals as far as the customer service is concerned. So the types of management by objectives, the whenever we think of the type of the management by objectives, then we have to define the organizational goals. Whenever you work in any organizations, we have to, organization itself has to define their organizational goals. And second, the employee who is working in that organization, they should also define their organizational goals. Okay, so continuous monitoring performance and progress. Okay, so there should be the continuous monitoring performance and process, and this is one block diagram. It shows that is a process of MBA. Okay, so the defining organizational goals. Once you define the organizational goals, then next point is the defining the employees' goals, and there is a continuous monitoring of the performance and the progress by the it may be the manager, it may be the subordinates or head of the institution. He will continuously monitoring the performance and the progress of the managers. It may be the managers, it may be the subordinates, it may be the worker, different employees in the organization. The organization continuously monitor their performance as well as their progress, whether they are doing good in their activity and whether there is a progress or not. Next is the performance evaluation. Whatever the performance they have given, that evaluation should be there, and therefore there are certain parameters are there, some techniques are there through which the organization do the performance evaluation. Performance evaluation just by providing feedback. Okay, so they provide with the feedback whether you are doing good work or not. Okay, at the same time you also give the feedback to the department. Okay, whenever it is asked, give the feedback to the class teacher or to the subject teacher, whether the teacher is doing, whether he is taking the lectures on time or not, whether he is prepared for the lecture or not. Okay, so that type of the feedback the student should also give to the department. Okay, so that providing feedback is also there in the organization. The organization means the employee has to also give the feedback as far as the organization is concerned. Organization is also give the feedback to the employees about their performance. So this is give and take principle. The next is the performance appraisal. Okay, so there is a performance appraisal is also there. There is a 360-degree form of the performance appraisal, how the employee he is performing his duties, whether he has progress or not, what type of the activities, in which activity he has participated, whether he has improved the skills, whether he has undergone any training or not. So that type of the appraisal is there by the organization. So this is the types of the management by objectives. Okay. So the management by objectives are the management by exception. Sometimes the management by objectives is also called as the management by exception. So management by objective is a systematic and organized approach that aims to increase the organizational performance. So management by exceptions is a policy by which the management devotes its time to the investing only those situations in which the actual results differ significantly from the planned results. So we have discussed that management by objectives, it is these objectives means we have to set the objectives as far as the work is concerned. Individual objectives must be set, organizational objectives must be set. But management by exception is a policy by which the management devotes its time to investigate only those situations in which the actual results differ significantly from the planned results. Means where the management by exception plays the role where whatever the you have planned about any activity and you have not got the expected results and your result is differed from the planned result, that means expected results, in that only the management investigate how high this person has got the results which is differing from the planned results. So that at that time the performance is done and that is known by the management by exceptions. So management by objectives, it is a strategic model that aims to improve the performance of organization by clearly defining both objectives that are agreed to both management and employees. Okay. According to the theory, having a say in a goal setting and action plan encourages participation and commitment among employees as well as aligning objectives across the organization. So according to theory, we have to set the goals and we have to plan the action. When you set the goals and when you plan the action, and this itself will encourage participation and commitment among you. If you are not set any goals, you have not plan any activity, definitely it will not encourage, that is not going to help you to participate and commitment among you also. Suppose you as a student, if you do not set the goals and if you are not planned, for example, for doing the study, there are 24 hours are present in a day. How you plan, how you set the goals in your life, that is also very important. And if you do not set the goals and action for doing the study, that will not going to help you, that will not going to encourage participation and commitment about the study. So similarly for the organization also, organization as well as employees, they have to set their goals, they have to plan their activities, and they have to have their objectives, and that objectives should be aligned uh, with the objectives of the organization. Aligning means now see, ours is the educational institute and you are the customers, students are the customers. So student, they have your objectives. Your objective is the to pass with the first class with distinction, as well as the educational institutes. This is the organization. Our objective is also our organization should get the good results, and therefore when you work in coordination, obviously this is just like the aligning the objectives of both the students as well as organization. Similarly for any organization, uh, we have to align the objectives of the employees as well as the any organization. So critics of MBA argue that it leads to employees trying to achieve the set goals by any means necessary, often at the cost of the company. Okay, so critics are there, and the critics are always argue about the management by objectives, that it leads to employees trying to achieve the set goals by means of necessary, often at the cost of the company. So critics say that once we have the management by objectives, and therefore it is definitely going to help the employees. They will always try to achieve whatever the goals they have set by necessary action. Necessary action means they work hard, they use the standard methods for doing the activity, they work for extra times. So this is they do in order to achieve whatever whatever the goal they have set in the company, and this is at the cost of the company also sometimes. So the management objectives, it is also known as the management by planning. Obviously, the management, when you set the goals, when you set the when you plan the activity, that is nothing but a management by objective, which is also known sometimes known as a management by planning. Is the establishment of management information MIS to compare actual performance and achievements to the defined objectives. Okay, and therefore practitioner claim that the major of benefits of MBO are that it improves the employee's motivation and commitment and allows for the better communication between management and employees. Okay, so obviously when you have set the goals and by management by objectives, definitely the management information system, this system is, they always compare the actual performance and achievements. What is the actual performance of the employees, what he has achieved uh, as far as he has defined in his objectives. Therefore, practitioners claim that the major benefits of MBO are that it improves the employee's motivation and commitment. Definitely, whenever you use the MBO, it is going to help the employees as far as the motivation and commitment is concerned as toward their work, and allows for better communication between management and employees. So when they work hard, obviously they will work to achieve the better results, and whenever in achieving such results, whenever there is any difficulty, there is always the communication between the management and employees. So however, the a cited weakness of MBA is that it is unduly emphasizes the setting of the goals to attain objectives rather than working on a systematic plan to do so. So sometimes the we also say that setting goals, this is the weakness of MBO, that it is duly emphasized the setting of the goals to attain the objectives rather than working on a systematic plan to do. So sometimes when you do the systematic planning of the activity, then we will also get the better performance. So critics of MBO such as W. Edwards Deming argue that the setting particular goals like production targets leads workers to meet those targets by means of necessary and including shortcuts that results in a poor quality. So whenever you set the goals, then obviously the critics say that they sometimes use the shortcut to achieve their goals and objectives in the organization, and this will sometimes leads to the poor quality production. Okay, so that is also the weakness of the MBO, that is management by organization, management by objective. So management by objectives in practice, the management by objectives outline 5 steps that organization should use to put the management techniques into practice. The first step is to either determine or revise organizational objectives for the entire company. So how you can bring the MBO in practice, that first we have to determine or revise organizational objectives for the entire company. We have to determine organizational objective, what the organization wants, what the organization wants from the employees, that is well defined in the organization. And if it is already there, and if it is already there, then we have to revise the organizational objectives so that we can have the better performance from the employees. So this broad overview should be derived from the firm mission and vision. Obviously, the mission and vision should be there. Every organization is always has the mission and vision. Our education institute, we also have the mission and vision. Our department is also having the mission and vision. What is the mission of the electrical department to provide the student center conducive environment for preparing knowledgeable, competent, and value-added electrical engineers. This is the mission of the organization, and therefore this broad review, that is determining the objective, is organizational objectives, is we have to derive from the organization's mission and vision. So this is a mission to provide the student center conducive environment for preparing knowledgeable, competent, and value-added electrical engineers. And the vision of the electrical department is that we have to emerge as a leading electrical engineering department. To emerge as the leading electrical engineering department for inclusive development of students. So this is the mission and vision of the department. Similarly, our organization SSBT is also having its mission and vision. So our objectives are well defined and it is must be derived from the organization, that is firm's mission and vision. This is the first step as far as the bringing the MBO in practice. Second step is that is to translate the organizational objectives to employees. Obviously, the organizational objectives are there, but this we have to translate to the employees. So in 1981, George T. Dorhan used to acronym SMART. That is a specific, measurable, acceptable, realistic, and time bound to express the concept. Specific म्हणजे नेमकं तुमचं, आपण म्हणतो की तुमचं गोल कसे असले पाहिजे, नेमके असले पाहिजे. मेजरेबल म्हणजे ते मोजता येण्यासारखे पाहिजे. स्मार्ट, M for the smart, M for the measurable, S for the specific, and A for acceptable. म्हणजे तुम्हाला ऍक्सेप्ट व्हायला पाहिजे की जे गोल तुम्ही अचिवेबल. Acceptable means that should be achievable means you should not set the goals that is not achievable. Okay, so there are some hard goals are also there. In lifetime we cannot also achieve that. So that goal should be achievable. Actually, acceptable means it is achievable. Realistic, it should be real. Okay, whatever the goals you are going to set, that should be the real, and that is should be the time bound, means for the long term, whether that is a goal is for the long term, whether that is goal is middle term or the short term. Okay, like that. So depending upon that, that should be the time bound. So for the students, you should be passed with the first class with distinction, or you should get the gold medal in electrical discipline from the university. That should be your 4 years goal. Okay, and we can achieve that goals. If you have set that goals, you can study in that direction and you work in that direction, and your subconscious mind as well as your conscious mind, that will help you to achieve that goals. So that goals, according to the George T. Dorhan, he used the acronym SMART, that is a specific, measurable, acceptable, realistic, and time bound to express the concept. Okay, so the third step 3 is the simulating the participation of employees in the setting individuals objectives. After the organization objectives are shared with the employees from top to the bottom, employees should encourage to help set their own objectives to achieve these larger organizational objectives. This gives employees greater motivation since they have greater empowerment. So once the organization set its goals, that should be translated to the employees, and therefore when the organization goals are well defined, the employees should also encourage to set their own objectives, and that objective that should help to the organization to achieve these larger organizational objectives. Okay, and therefore this gives the employees greater motivation since they have the greater empowerment. Step 4 involves monitoring the progress of employees. We have to also monitor the progress of employees. In step 2, the key component of objective was that they are measurable for employees and managers to determine how they are met. Okay, in second step, we have seen that the goal should be the SMART, means one of the term is there achievable, okay, or measurable. So objectives, the fourth step is that the monitoring the progress of employees. We have to monitor the progress of employees. Similarly, we have to also monitor the progress of the students, how he is doing well in the exam, in the test exam, in the university exam, whether he is attending the classes regularly or not, whether he is attending the practical session regularly or not. So that is the monitoring of the progress of the student. Similarly, in the organization, they also monitor the progress of employees. And in the step 2, we have seen that the objectives should be measurable for employees. So your objectives should be measurable for student and managers, means for the teacher, student and teacher, to determine how they are met. Okay, whatever the goals you have set, whatever the objectives you have set. The fifth step is to evaluate the reward employees progress. The fifth step is to evaluate the reward and employees progress. Means we have to also evaluate the performance of the employees, and we have to also reward them. Whether if he has done very good job, we have to also reward the employees, and we have to also encourage them financially by giving any certificates of recognitions or like that. This step include the honest feedback on what was achieved and not achieved for each employees. So honest feedback is taken, and therefore on this honest feedback, the organization decides whether or what was achieved and what was not achieved for each employees. This comes under the fifth steps. So advantage and disadvantage of the management by objectives. MBO comes with many advantages and disadvantages to a company's success. The benefit includes employees taking pride in their works and goals that they know they can achieve, and it aligns the employees with their strengths, skills, and educational experiences. So obviously, it has advantages. Setting the objectives definitely going to help the workers and employees. They take the pride in their works with goals that they know they can achieve it. It also aligns the employees with their strength, skills, and educational experiences. MBO also leads to increased communication between management and employees. Assigning tailored goals brings a sense of importance to employees, bringing loyalty to the firm. And lastly, management can create goals that leads to the success of company. So MBA also leads to the increased communication between management and employees. Okay, when you set the goals, when you align your goals or objectives with the organization, then the employees always they alert. They they are always alert, and they know that they have set their objectives, they have aligned their objectives with the organizational objectives, and therefore whether we are achieving that objectives or not, there, and for maintaining that, they always maintain the communications between the management and employees. Therefore, assigning the tailored goals brings a sense of importance to the employees. Tailored goals means goals can be set, and it should be the flexible. If it is cannot be achieved, then you can reset your goals probably. So assigning tailored goals brings a sense of importance to employees, bringing loyalty to the firm. And lastly, the management can create the goals that leads to the success of companies. Though there are plenty of benefits to MBO, there are some drawbacks also. So some disadvantages are that, as well as limitations. As MBO, we have seen that the critics MBO. So in order to achieve the objectives, sometimes they also use the shortcuts, and in doing in achieving the in doing the shortcuts, what there may be the poor quality production. Okay, so as MBO is focused on goals and targets, it often ignores other parts of the company, such as culture of conducts, a healthy work ethos, and areas for involvement and contribution. So the MBO puts increased strains on employees to meet the goals in a specified time frame. In addition, if management solely relies on MBO for all management responsibility, it can be problematic for areas that do not fit under MBO. So that is also some drawbacks and as well as limitation. Next is the departmentation. Now, this is the last topic from the we are going to cover. So departmentation is a part of organization process. It involves the grouping of common activities under the single person control. That is called as the departmentation. The activities are grouped on the basis of function of the organization. There are different functions are there in the organization. For example, it is manufacturing is there. There is a production. Then there is a service department is there. Then there is a quality department is there. Depending upon the function of. So this is the departmentation. The activities are grouped on the basis of function of the organization, and the work done by the chief executives of the concerned organization. Departmentation means the process by which the similar activity of business are grouped into the units for the purpose of facilitating the smooth administration at all levels. So there are different activities are there, and for doing the business of that activities, there are the different processes in the department are there, and where to group this process into the units for the purpose of facilitating smooth administration at all levels. Departmentation is also means the grouping of similar activities and employees of organization into the various departments for the purpose of facilitating administration is called departmentation. So grouping of similar activity. There are different departments are there in the organization, but we have to see whether the similar activities are there in different department and where to group that activities. Okay, and we have to also see the similar employees means whether they are having the skills, proper skills in the group. All are not having the equal skills, equal experience, equal knowledge, and therefore we have to search whether in the organization whether the employees they have the similar activities and employees of the organization into the various department for the purpose of facilitating administration, and this process is called as the departmentation. So it implies that what the departmentation means. What is the departmentation? It implies the division of total works of an organization into the individual function. So total work is there in the organization, and therefore we have to divide that total work into the individual function and sub-function. Now, see, in your college, there are the total work of the organization is very big, but we have divided into the different departments. For example, electrical department, mechanical, chemical department, civil department, computer department. So there are the so there are different departments are there. So division of total works of an organization into the individual function and sub-function. It is the process of division of organization into the different parts known as the departments. So according to the LALN, departmentation is the means of dividing the large and monolithic functional organization into the smaller, that should be the flexible as well as administrative units. So this is according to the definition or according to the LALN. So type of departmentation, it may be the functional departmentation, product departmentation. Next is it is a geographical, or we can also say it is a departmentation by territory, or it is, we can also call it as a geography. Next is a departmentation by process or equipment. Okay, or the matrix departmentation, team structures, and the few others. So these are the latest technology, or we can say latest the definition of the departmentation. This the project or matrix departmentation is concerned, whereas these are the the basic departmentation, that is functional, products, geographical, or it is also known as the territory, and departmental by process, or it is also known as the equipments. So the methods of departmentation, or we can say it is a types of departmentation. Departmentation is the process which is used to group the activity of the organization into the various divisions for the purpose of efficient management. So first we will discuss the department by function. So the departmentation by function, in which the activities of the organization are divided into the primary functions to be performed. So whatever the primary functions are there, that activities comes under the departmentation by function. For examples, the primary functions to be performed, that is manufacturing. So this is the primary function for any organization. Manufacturing, suppose it is a mobile manufacturing company or the car manufacturing company. So the primary function of that organization is manufacturing. Then marketing, whatever they have produced, we have to market. And then engineering, research. Engineering is also by function. Then there is a research and development, and employees relation, and finance. So these are the primary functions to be performed by the any organization. So these primary functions, they have the advantage of the specialization and concentration of similar activities within the department unit. So if it is a manufacturing department, the manufacturing employees or the workers should be there who has the skills in manufacturing. Then there is a marketing department is there. So the person who is having the marketing skills, experience, he can work in the marketing department. And engineering departments means the engineers are there, they are technically sound, they know how to maintain the machines and like that. R&D department is their research and development of their product. Employees relation department is there, finance department is there. So it is the most prevalent in the form of the departmentalization, and it is seen not only in the business enterprises, but we also see this such type of the functions. Department by function is in hospitals, we can see in the government offices, or any other kind of the organization. So major problem associated with this form is the coordination of the specialized activity. There should be the proper coordination. So this is the management by function. Second is the management by product. So departmentation, product departmentation has become increasingly important, because product department is very important, especially for the large and complex organization. Product department. So product, under this category, large organization have major product divisions with substantial autonomy. So in departmentation by product lines are